Okay.
So this is about the hot works we write every day. So I'm gonna, basically, the objectives of this is gonna be able to answer why we issue them on a daily basis, what items is needed to be checked off for us to issue a hot work to any of the contractors or ESA. How often do we check them? How many times a day do we check them? How many times a shift? And how do we sign off that we did check them? It's going to be one of the things we cover. And what happens if we find a violation when we go to check them off? Why do we issue in hot work? If they were welding, cutting, or grinding, we issue the hot work. Anywhere within inside the building or outside the building. And right there is a picture of what some of the contractors use to cut and weld in before they take it over to mount it. And what we need to know what should be provided to us when we go to issue it. The requester's name, if they can speak English. Sometimes they can't. The company name, if it's FFT, SEC, any of those. What building it's in or column number. We want to know if it's in Hall 31 or Hall 32. That way we don't go to Hall 52 looking for it. And what column number. We also want to know where the hot work's taking place, if it's taking place on the roof, on the ground, on the floor, on the mezzanine level. And we want to know who the fire watch is. That's who's going to be there with a fire extinguisher in case anything catches on fire. Then we got to know, they got to know who the BMW technology rep is. They also have to know the technology rep's phone number before we issue them a hot work. And phone numbers for the contractor also of who does it. And they should know how long it's going to take to complete the job when they start. And with that being said, we cannot write hot works no longer than 5 days from the day we write it. And when we get there, we should ask, is the site ready for us to check off and make sure everything's done? When you arrive at the location, is the site ready? Or all the approvers on site, the fire watch, and the person doing the actual work? And you should do a walkthrough to complete the checklist that's on the sheets. And the checklist items are if the sprinkler system is in service, where facilities that sit down a sprinkler system that operates that area, no hot works can be issued because of no fire protection over that area, even though they got a fire watch. Is the cutting and welding machinery in good appearance? Means if the cords cut in half, cut and taped loosely, make sure they look good and in decent order. And the fire watch must be provided up to 1 hour after they finish welding, cutting, or grinding. And they need to supply their own fire extinguisher, a 20-pound ABC extinguisher, anywhere throughout the plant except if it's paint or the North Stacker. Needs a 15-pound CO2 extinguisher. They can have two 10-pound ABC extinguishers also if they don't have a 20-pound. And it has to be the contractor's fire extinguisher. It cannot be a BMW fire extinguisher. Now, if it's BMW ESA doing the work, it can be one of the fire extinguishers off the wall, but they usually replace it, so they're good about that. And the area clear of combustibles, meaning are they any cardboard, wood, plastic totes, anything that can catch fire to make it a hazard for them to work. And to continue on, the grounding, are they placing the grounding points to the bare metal when they go to weld? Also, if they are working in a lift or they got the harness on and are they tied off to it at all times? And do they got a welding curtain like I showed you in the first picture that has where they're cutting and welding in a certain area, then moving the product to finish assembly. And in all plants, they require you to have safety glasses on in all parts of the plant, and protective clothing, whether it be welding gloves, welding shield. And if they're using acetylene torches or any type of torches, they must be secured properly and cannot just be sitting where they can get knocked over and the end get knocked off of them. And if they're working in a confined space or anything, need to make sure it stays ventilated with fresh air. And when we go to draw at the bottom of the hot work permit, we need to make sure there are 2 reference points, whether it be column OA24 and column OB24, or if it be dot door 5.22 and 5.23, and they are working in the middle of those two. We need to know where actually the hot work is and actually mark it on the drawing that says, hey, they're working in this area. That way if we go over there and they're working at dot 5.21 and it's not in the drawing, we know they're out of their hot work area. And after all that, before you post it, just continue a quick walkthrough of it. Make sure everything's clear, no combustibles have been moved in. And if you do find anything that's in the way, combustible-wise, just say, hey, do y'all mind moving this before you start, or covering it with the welding blanket, just to keep from catching on fire. And all items must be checked off. If they are not using cylinders, you can put NA beside the cylinder secured. And how often do we check it? We check hot works 2 times a shift. One usually about an hour after we come into shift, and then about after lunch we check it again. And when we do that, we sign that. We document it by signing the time, the date, and the shift in our initials, saying that we personally went by there and checked that area. And said it was safe to continue performing work. If they are not working in that area, we put NW for not working, so that they know nobody was working when we came by. And if they doing this,
Oh, that's my shot.
yeah, we should stop them from working immediately, and advise them that they need to correct the problem before it evolves. If they refuse to correct the problem, we can pull their hot work and issue a hot work pulled sign that says your hot work was pulled for this and until further notice, until you can move this stuff or secure what needs to be secured. Then call us back and we can reissue the hot work. Now, if you do a hot work pulled, it needs to have your name, the reason you pulled it, the date, the time. That way they know who pulled it and everything. And if it's a major violation, if they're working in a lockout tagout area, like inside a cage, and they don't have a lockout on it, and they start giving attitude, notify the supervisor on shift and let them handle it. And in summary, basically, we need to know what all the information that needed to be provided for us to issue it. The requester's name, company name, phone numbers, building location, who's the BMW technology rep. All that we need to know no matter what's going on. And we went over how we sign them off that they can do it. Is we do a visual check of the area, and we make sure everything is safe in the work area, that there are no combustibles, and that they are not just hanging from the ceiling without any harnesses on that can create a fall risk and them getting injured. And we need to make sure when we draw at the bottom of the hot work sheet that there are 2 reference points, being the column numbers, dot doors, man doors, anything that lets somebody know, even if it's a administrator walk up, they can look at the drawing and be like, okay, this is where they're working, instead of, okay, I see this and I see this point, but where's the actual work at? It's not labeled. We need to make sure we are labeling where the hot work is actually being performed at. And we check them 2 times a shift, signing off at the time we see it in the time with our initials to make sure all that's done, and no violations have been found during that time period. Does anybody have any questions about the hot work policy and stuff?
The only question I got is, are we checking the area to see if it's safe? You said we initial it, but are we checking that area to see if it's safe?
Yes, we check it.
What are we doing during the inspection?
When we go to check it off during our walk rounds 2 times a shift, we check to make sure there are no combustibles, no cardboard, no plastic, no anything that can catch, be a flammable combustible. Also, we check in to make sure that all the welding equipment is still in good condition, that they ain't done burnt the end off the fire extinguisher by some odd reason. And if that happens, just walk up to them and be like, hey, can y'all replace this fire extinguisher? Hey, this piece of equipment needs to be replaced due to the damage that has happened to it, whether it be from their doing or just from general use. It wore down and broke. Just something like that. Also, with that being said, if they go to check, if you go to check an area and they are not working and you find a violation, you can just go ahead and put a hot work pulled sign up and just state it why it was pulled, whether it be combustibles or if you notice the fire extinguisher or something's not there. Now, they may have took the fire extinguisher home, but still, you don't know if they just left for 5 minutes or if they gone for the day. But I do know they have started also, some contractors have went and started writing on the back of the hot work sheet that they've quit working for the day at certain times. Some of them have. I've noticed, like SEC, I think, done it a couple weeks ago. They put that they stopped work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So when we went by, and it was only good till 7 o'clock at night, that let us know they was done with it at 3. We could go ahead and pull it and mark it as a complete hot work, and we didn't have to worry about the oncoming shift going and checking it over to make sure that we wasn't double checking something that didn't need to be.
So when you said that they quit working, isn't there a time factor after they stop working?
Yes, the fire watch has to be there at least an hour after.
Okay.
And usually, I know like SEC, I think the other week put that they quit working at 3 o'clock, and that usually meant what time the fire watch went home to.
Okay.
So, but also we just need to be vigilant and make sure, the fire extinguisher hoses and stuff are in good condition, and that they have the tamper seals on them. Most of the tamper seals now have the year on them, and if they don't have one, make sure. We usually carry some in the clipboard we can give them and seal it if it's charged and in good condition. I've noticed a couple like FFT extinguishers have been empty and they've been like, oh, it's good, we just need a seal. And I'll be like, the fire extinguisher's not even charged, it won't do no good. If something does catch on fire, you're gonna have to go take one off the wall and then extinguish it, when you should be providing one that's fully charged and ready to go at a moment's notice.
Yesterday I had one that it wasn't for maintenance. It wasn't a maintenance card, it was an inspection record. People need to look at that too. That inspection record is not valid for that fire extinguisher. That company's gotta be on there. What that verifies is that the maintenance, just something to look for.
Yep, and that they should be checking the fire extinguishers like we do every month inside. Every month it should be like on 3 of 18, we we checked this fire extinguisher. And then in April, we put 418 that we checked it. They should be doing the same thing to their fire extinguishers. Does anybody else have any questions or anything?
What's your distance around the hot work?
35 feet in a circle, in a radius.
From the area they're working?
Yes. From
Does
the area
that-
they're working.
Does that mean Hall 32 also?
Yes.
Okay.
And just to note that some of the contractors are taking it upon themselves to make their hot work area bigger.
Yeah. So they have started doing that, and where, say if they got permission to work at 0824, they've been moving to 0820 and working. So they've just been working outside of the hot work area. And if we catch them doing that,
Yeah.
if we catch them doing that, we need to be like, hey, can we invite you to hot work for this area, as long as they got all the proper equipment and everything's safe to do so. But I want to thank y'all for coming in and doing this today.
Thanks for doing it.